No, yeah.
It's official.
That was a little bit of a wet burp.
That was a good one, man. I'm a connoisseur of burps. My wife detests me burping, and she tries to force them out. You know how women, they go that little type burp.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you can't do that. You gotta get it in the bellows. You gotta bellow it out.
Hey everyone, and thanks for tuning in to episode 41 of the Guardian Hub podcast, where we talk Destiny and our love of the game. We bring on different guests and communities to learn about them, their experiences in Destiny, and other topics. Your hosts are always, as always, our Kingsley, Mac, and Sin. Sin, we're back for the new year. How you doing, man?
Better. That week off was rejuvenating. And by rejuvenating, I mean I worked my tail off.
And you were sick, right?
And sick this past week, absolutely.
Well, at least I did. Okay, let's do a podcast every night of the week.
Hey, I would have still been there. I worked every day of the week, so I might as well have been there for the podcast. That's in my nature. But other than that, magical as always. Kingsley, how are you?
I am doing good, and it's been a nice couple of weeks off, and ultimately, we may have only took a week off of the podcast. We're excited bringing you this next one, and it'll be a good discussion with our two guests that we happen to bring on tonight. You've heard
not one, but two.
Yeah, you've heard at least one of them before on our show, and I'm sure you know the other. We have GATR and SkullReaper. How you doing, guys?
I'm doing good. And if I may interject real quick here, since this episode's about generations, feels a bit of a missed opportunity that it's not episode 42, but that's just me.
Well,
meaning of life.
We can't think of everything, but
unfortunately. All right, GATR.
So let's SkullReaper. We'll go through GATR. We'll kind of introduce again a little bit, even though we've had GATR on before. GATR, how you doing?
Good, man. Good, man. Sin, brother. I feel you, man. I'm at the tail end of my cold right now. I was coughing and whatnot last night recording our show. We had the great Lana Babana on. And
nice.
Yeah, I feel your pain, man. I'll be hitting the mute button a lot tonight.
It's all good. We're chill over here. You can hit the mute button. You can go out for a drink. We'll wait. We'll keep it going. Anyways, those who don't remember, GATR is from the lovely Guardian Down podcast with host Hazelnut. And I wonder what episode we had you on. I should have had that on the ready, but you guys are great friends of the show.
Yes, it was a great time. I'm super glad you guys invited me. It's a great show, and every now and then I go back and listen to it. I like to critique myself and say, I probably should have been a little better in that spot there. And I'm real hard on myself on that stuff. So thank you again.
I have to be better on this show, sir. We are chill.
Well, thank you for the invite. Thank you again.
Yeah, and then we have SkullReaper on, and SkullReaper is in GATR's community over at Guardian Down, and he's also in our community at the Guardian Hub. So many people know SkullReaper also. How you doing?
I'm doing good. It's been about 2 weeks of winter break now, or Christmas break, and it's been pretty good. I'm
trying to remember, how did you find out about our community? Was it through Guardian Down?
Oh,
that seems like it was the case, but I've just
was it? Because I think,
or maybe we played with them.
Yeah, because I started with Distinguished Guardians.
Oh, okay, might have been them.
And then GATR and Hazel and Easy made Guardian Down, and I was over there. And I think we're doing a raid night, so you invited me or something to the server, something like that.
At this point, we're all just blended into
There.
all of the communities.
Yeah.
We're all, us Destiny players are all over the place, right? It's like who's what, where, you know.
I'm still waiting for that one giant server family, and everything goes into one server, and then I don't need to have 25 or so in my server list.
And Sin is the ruler over them all.
No, thank you. And to answer the question, GATR was on episode 32.
Ooh.
I was going to say 28.
Yeah, I couldn't remember. I'm old. I can't remember that stuff.
I was 4 off, so.
Good guess,
Well, I
Skull.
did not have it on the ready, but that's okay. Well, as Skull hinted to, we want to first talk just about what we've been doing in Destiny, but then we have a fun topic this evening on. I wanted to talk about different generations and how we game and what it's like gaming and pluses and minuses and any stigmas. And so I thought it'd be kind of interesting to bring on different age groups into the show and just have a fun little discussion about what that means. But before we do that, GATR, I know I have listened to your recent episode and with 30 and gaming, still gaming, but do you have any, whether you don't have to give a long answer, but what are your, personally for you, thoughts in Destiny, especially if it's changed within the last week or two?
I will always be a fan of Destiny. Let me make that clear. That's why I put that little disclaimer, because we are a Destiny podcast, and I didn't want to sit there and tear Destiny apart because, hey, I mean, I played ever since the beta came out in 2014. So we talk about, actually, in our show last night we recorded, that'll probably be coming out before your show or at the same time, about the good things that have changed since Destiny 1. That was our topic last night. And there were a lot of things that all three of us could come up with that we really appreciated about Destiny 2 that maybe everybody kind of forgot about. So I've been doing the grind, the battle pass, I think, in fact, I was just pulling that up to see what level. I play 2
I love
accounts.
how you call it the battle pass.
I don't play any Fortnite, but I call it battle pass because it seems to be a neat word. It seems to be fits real nicely. Because you're doing battle, and every time you do battle, you're getting XP, and that's probably the biggest thing I really like about Destiny now, is you can do anything. Open a chest, you get XP. Anything. I mean, literally run
Can you just stand still and get XP?
No, you can't.
Pretty much.
But it's pretty close to another game I loved to play back in the day, and that was Battlefield. And Battlefield, if you threw ammo, you would get points. If you assisted somebody, you got points. If you healed somebody, anything you did in the game, you got points for. And that's the great thing about this new season pass bar, I guess we can call it, is that anything you do, it just keeps chugging toward your fixed things that you're going to get in that battle pass. I'm going to leave it at that.
Oh, it's great.
So yeah, that's, and I love the trickle content. I love the seasonal content. I love the different themes. But I won't mumble on forever. But that's basically in a nutshell. I'm very happy about it. I've always loved Destiny.
Your battle pass.
Oh yeah, good question. I just had that up. I play 2 accounts. I play mainly on Steam now. I play a little bit on PS4 when my buddies Bytorrid, Jughead, and Warcry, you probably heard him, are playing us. Usually it's during Iron Banner is when I jump on that. So I'm mainly a Steam player now, and I am 92 on my alternate Steam account, and I'm at 87 on my GATR account.
Geez, and you have 2 accounts. I mean, I play in 2 places, but I just do 1 account. Well,
I jump on every morning. I'm self-employed like yourself, and I jump on in the morning. I grab gunsmith bounties and a couple planetary bounties, and of course those nice dawning bounties now that are double XP. And just run out there and run into a lost sector and get it all done. And then I go to work.
And how are you feeling about, have you done any builds yet or found anything fun in the seasonal artifact for this season?
I'm starting to turn the corner on that. I'm just now starting to find out, when I get a piece of armor that's 60 or better, I start looking really closely at it. But if it's 55 or 51 or 52, I just discard it or rank it up or whatever, move it into something, a higher light, higher power. But no, I'm just now starting to look at the armor and realize, okay, this is going to be my recovery build, because I play a lot of Crucible, and recovery is really important now in Crucible, mobility and recovery. So I have a Crucible build, and I have like a raid build, and then I have like a regular PvP build for like dungeons and stuff. So,
well, when it gets to my turn, I'm going to tell you about a cool Telesto Warlock build, which you will love.
I am all ears, buddy.
Yeah. GATR, or sorry, Skull. I think GATR. Skull. What have you enjoyed in Destiny lately, or what do you think about the state of the game? What are you working on?
Recently I got all my ritual weapons, and I got divinity.
Congrats.
State of the game so far, I think it's doing okay. Season of Dawn seems to be a little slower this time around. But I've been doing Crucible, and I've just been getting frustrated in there, but I've taken a break from that. I'm not going to do it until maybe a few months from now, and then I'll see how it is.
So you got all your pinnacles, so and divinity, so probably not even too much to do in PvE either. Are you looking at any builds or season pass, or are you just kind of just doing whatever?
I mean, I've transferred over to Hunter, so Void Battery Hunter is pretty much it.
Yeah, I like Void when I run my Hunter. It's a good build.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. Yeah, and we raid with you still fairly regularly. I'm trying to remember I think we did a Garden Salvation fairly recently.
Yeah.
And so I know we always appreciate you coming in our raids, and you can definitely hold it with the top players when we trying to get people through. And we've never been able to bring a group of people that, like 3 or 4 that haven't passed it all the way through yet. But
we're getting there.
We're at least getting towards the end more consistently now. So eventually we'll get people to pass, either with people that have cleared it already, or we'll get it all the way. But you know how it is. It's like hard to get a regular group going and swapping in or swapping out. Well, excellent. Sin, what are you working on? You're probably playing the game right now, if I believe that's correct.
No, I have it on. I'm looking at the director at the moment. Excuse me. There's that cough and phlegm. So, plus I just ate a piece of chocolate while I was waiting. And I think I logged in once in a week because of my work schedule. So I was off, Christmas Eve and then Christmas Day, but I had no day off this week. So I've been working 6 days straight. I logged in just before reset to get the triumph for the 3rd rotation of the sundial activity. And I finally got my flawless clear of the sundial activity the same run. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, logged in, logged off. And that was the extent of my playing this week. So I have not worked on much recently. It's just unfortunate with my timing and schedule. But I did play a little bit of Gambit here earlier today. I think I might have played one other night. I think I did some strike activities while you all were raiding. And that's been about it. It's been a pretty light week. And I think in the past 2 weeks, because I think it's been that long since we recorded, I'm not going to lie, I did play some Pokemon Sword.
It's all good. I just don't know that game.
It's on Switch. It's fun.
Is it fun? Okay, good.
Yeah.
It reminds me, when you were talking about the things you're working on, you owe me this week. We need to find that last nightmare hunt on the moon. So I know you have all 3 done, but I don't have my last one done yet.
We missed last week. Was it last week's or this week's that you need?
I think it's this week now, because I think when I helped you with the last week, it was at the beginning of the week, or I don't know. I bet it's this week still. So we'll figure it out later. We don't need to bore the listeners with that, but
slide into my DMs.
We'll get that going. And as for me, I was getting a little bit bored of Destiny a few weeks ago, right before Christmas, and was starting a little bit of Borderlands and stuff. But I've gotten a renewed interest the last week, and I have 2 of my pinnacles done now. I have my Strikes one and my Crucible one done. Well, technically, the Crucible one will be done at reset because I have enough points to bring me over the bump, and I just don't want to jinx it. But and then I'll have left the Gambit one to work on, and I just I think I'm going to wait for a double or triple infamy because I just don't like Gambit. So we'll see. I don't know if one will be coming anytime soon. If not, I guess I'll slowly work on it. Finally got my Wendigo done also because I'd never put a priority towards that anytime until recently. So I got Wendigo done, got all those, and I got my Divinity. I was able to find a cool pickup group on PC that had run it a bunch of times, and it was only my second clear for getting it done. But before we started it, they asked if I had Divinity, and I said no. I'm like, but no big deal. But they were able to get me through it pretty quickly, and which was very appreciative because it's always nice when like 5 of them are very familiar, so it doesn't take long just to run one person through it. And I'm only about level 40 something on my season pass, but I've really been getting interested into builds also, and this is where I wanted to bring up. I found this cool build through shout out to 2 Titans and a Hunter. They recommended a video from Houndish, and he has a build for a good exotic build for one for a Hunter, one for a Titan, and one for a Warlock. And the Warlock one is a solar build, which I'm all about the solar Warlock right now, which is, if anyone knows me, very, very weird because I'm a Void Warlock through and through to die for. I hate doing the solar normally, but with that new Icarus Dash movement that they added in and the flaming solar melee, those 2 things alone make me stay on solar for now. Plus, it kind of seems like Bungie's pushing that this season.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a build, and you'll appreciate this, Gator, that includes Telesto in it.
Okay.
And you use Karnstein armlets. So what you need quite a bit of these new mods. And so I made a list here, but just look up the video through Houndish. It'll be easy too. But you need Quick Charge, and you get that from the E to Z obelisk, and that can only be added to the Arc Dawn helmet. So you need one of those new Season of Dawn helmets, and it has to be Arc.
Mm-hmm.
And then you need Heavy Handed, and that can be found from the Tangled Shore obelisk, and you need an Arc Dawn chest piece for that.
Okay.
And then you need to add Taking Charge to your boots, but that one is just a plain mod. And then you add Solar Plexus to a solar class item. And then for bonus, you also add Charged Up to get 2. That gives you 2 charges of light. So what this does is you shoot. Well, I say shoot. It's in the new melee with the Warlock where it has the flaming, things that come out.
Oh, yeah.
Every time you do that, it basically half recharges your melee back. Plus, you get ammo reserves for your weapons. That 2 of the options is fusion rifles and shotguns. So you really want to run like a shotgun in your primary, Telesto in your secondary, and then whatever for your heavy. And so I've been playing around with it, and you basically just don't run out of ammo. You just spamming Telesto, spamming your shotgun, especially with the Python, because you can overload rounds into it, which I don't have yet. So I'm looking forward to getting that. Pick up the orbs on the ground. You're basically a tank Warlock because you keep getting your health back too. And so you're just staying in the air, shooting your melee every few seconds, shooting your Telesto, and you're just invincible almost. So it's a fun PvE build.
That's not OP at all. Hey, thanks for that, man. I'm gonna look that up.
And I was thinking, I've gone back and forth, like, are these seasonal artifacts and builds a good thing or a bad thing? I mean, right now, I'm thinking more a good thing again because it's kind of fun, like changing it up every season, kind of being forced to like come up with a new build. Because last season, Warlock had a really good bottom tree Void build with Recluse, and this season, this is kind of one of the builds that's coming out. I'm sure there's lots of other good builds, but
let me ask you this, Kingsley. While you're on this topic, not to interrupt. This was a criticism we had when 30 and Still Gaming was on a couple weeks ago. This seasonal armor, when we put these seasonal mods in it, do those mods evaporate and disappear with the season, or do we get to keep them within that seasonal armor? Do you know that answer?
I think they do evaporate. Does anyone, Skull or Sin, do you know the answer to that?
What I would say, you talk about the seasonal mods, the ones that comes from the obelisks, right?
Yes, the ones from the obelisks.
The obelisks are not going away, if I remember correctly. which to me means that they're not seasonal. The ones that are seasonal, to me, should be the ones coming from the artifact directly.
Okay.
The ones from the artifact directly will go away, but if the obelisks are staying, my thought process is that the obelisks ones will be around permanently.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Where did you hear the obelisks are? Yeah, that's interesting. I never heard that before, that they're staying.
I thought they were staying. Are they not?
I'm not saying they're not, but I just figured they were tied to Sundial, and Sundial is obviously going away. They have for sure.
Maybe you're right. Maybe the obelisks, because they are tied to Sundial, if they're going away, then yes, they would. Then I would imagine they would evaporate as well.
Well, let's think back.
Nonetheless,
let's think back. What disappeared from last season of Undying? Just the stuff on the moon, right? The
Vex invasions. Yep.
And the artifact in those mods.
Well, yeah, and that's what Sin mentioned. But I'm curious was there anything else that stayed put? I'm trying to remember now.
See, I go through the stuff so quickly. I am not married to any build, so I really stopped caring about putting mods on them because one, it was too much effort to try to figure out what to put on there, and I was going through the content so quickly that I didn't really need it anyway. The only ones I ever worried about were the ones that I needed to for enemy combatants. The overshield ones or the whatever they're called that you swap out in and out of your weapons. Those were the only ones that I ever cared about.
And that's the reason I mentioned that Kingsley brought this whole bigamaboo up, is because I'm worried I'll get married to that build and be Telesto murdering people in Crucible. And then all of a sudden it's gone, and now that crutch is gone, and now I have to figure out another way to, you see what I'm saying?
Oh, I do. And I felt like at the beginning of the season, it was kind of annoying starting over and having to rebuild. It's like, it's fun. Maybe when you're halfway in or a month into the season, you're actually able to do all the things if you hit it hard, and then you can have fun with it for two months. And then it's potentially fun again with the next season because something new is going to come, but then it's super annoying at the beginning because maybe you loved that and you have to wait to build it up again.
Yeah.
They've said they might bring some things back, but when are they going to do that? I mean, they don't want to bring it back too quickly because people will just think they're recycling too quickly.
I think when they said that, they were referring to some of the exotics. That maybe if you didn't have the Battle Pass Premium or the Season Pass and you didn't get that weapon unlocked, that they would bring it. That's the way I remember hearing, is they were going to bring it back at a later time, but they wouldn't tell us when. Well,
the ones that they've had to bring back are the obvious, like in the artifact, they've had to always have like anti-barrier and unstoppable and overload because those are just built into the game in the raid and in the Nightfalls.
Right.
That's kind of like that first row. I'm looking at it right now. And then the second row is kind of like some of those enhanced, but they're a little bit different. Maybe each season they kind of like focus on certain weapons. And then the next three rows kind of tend to look like they're like the very specific things to the season. I don't know. Right now, I'm just basically to answer the question, tell you how I feel. I'm a little more positive on it than I was before. But yeah, about 2 weeks ago, I was getting kind of frustrated with Destiny and bored, and like, I mean, the activities, as we know, are already done. Unless you're raiding or like PvP, there's nothing to do in the game, really, if you've hit it hard. And so it's really just building up your season pass or looking for builds. But I've been doing that lately, and that's why I've been having fun.
Well, wouldn't it be nice if you could put this build together, not part of the artifact mods, but part of these obelisk mods, and then just throw it and put it away in your vault, and when something comes up where you want to use that, you have it already downloaded. You can have it even automatically preloaded, ready to just one click on DIM. It would be nice if that's the case. I hope Sin's right. Sorry, I will take you on a tangent if you let me.
This is great. I love these discussions. Talk away, everyone. Well, anything else we've been working on, or if not, we can go into our main topic.
No,
that's it.
That's it. All right.
Don't forget to download your free Epic Games PSA. I do that. Yeah. I don't even know.
I did want to mention one thing.
Yeah.
I just finished the Witcher series on Netflix. I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm not going to spoil anything. But damn, Admiral Nips.
Don't.
Damn, that's a great show. And I mean, take it from someone who did not play the game and did not read the books. and is a Game of Thrones fan, you're going to love this show. I'll just leave it at that.
For me, I did not watch Game of Thrones yet or whatever. I did not read the books or play the game. I'm in the second episode so far, and I absolutely love it. So, yeah, it is really, really good.
The second episode, you're kind of just dipping your toe in. And then third through sixth, seventh episode, you're all in, man.
Oh, I'm already in, so that's good news. It's even going to pick up.
It gets really good.
So I don't remember where, I'll continue the tangent. So I don't remember where I was talking about it. But I got the audiobook for The Witcher, The Last Wish or whatever on iOS. It was only $5 about a week ago or so. And I crushed that this week on my drive. And I got really engaged in listening to it. I thought it was good. I thought the voice, whoever did the reading of it, did a really fantastic job for The Witcher. And I got really engaged in the story. So I'm excited to actually watch the Netflix show, which I got to sign up for Netflix now because the person's account that I was using, apparently I can no longer access, whether it was a password change or not. And
that brings up I wanted to tell you this before the show. Interesting day today.
Yeah.
I was watching the last episode of The Witcher. I went into my kitchen to grab some coffee. I came back and it says, "You have now been logged out of Netflix and please re-enter your password." Nothing. Nope. Unacceptable. Someone, a bot or something had figured out my password, logged into Netflix, unlogged me from all my devices, and set up their own password. I even had where they could send me a text for a code, and that didn't work. Said that's invalid. Sorry. So I called my son, who's really into computers, and I said, "Son, try to log into to Netflix," and I guess his didn't catch up to him, and he was able to reset the password back and put a new password, new sign in and everything, and just totally saved the day.
Well,
But that's how my whole half morning went. This whole half morning, I've been going through all of my accounts and giving them all distinctive passwords. It's just crazy.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
So, that was my Saturday, half of it anyway.
That happens. Yeah. I have to help people with that all the time with my job of just, it's not even necessarily that people always get hacked, but it's like a bot somehow eventually figures out your password and then they can get in and then you just got to go through that hassle of fixing everything.
It is scary that there's bots out there just crunching and crunching and crunching and figuring out.
That's basically brute forcing.
It is. It's scary.
It's a long time. But it does the job eventually.
Usually they find out your password from another one if you've ever used it. So
Yep.
Tip 1, never reuse passwords. Tip 2, make them long. Tip 3, do 2-factor authentication.
That's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I do now.
I did want to say a couple other things on the Witcher topic really quick. What was it? But now I see a bunch of people are starting to play the game, and I'm really tempted to play the game Witcher 3, so I might be doing that soon.
I actually have that on Steam, and I've only played it a few times. I never got into it because I was trying to do it while being super engaged in Destiny, and it just didn't work. So I have it ready to go. I just need to play it.
Got like Game of the Year in 2015. So I guess it's good. And so the other point I wanted to make is, I don't know if you feel the same way, GATR, but the way he talks, doesn't it remind you of like Batman? I'm the Witcher.
I know he was so broody. I was like, "Come on, dude, is that your only accent you have?" I mean, he's like, "Come on, you're going to go sit in the corner and brood?" I mean, come on.
I'm Batman.
I mean, that's Geralt of Rivia in a nutshell.
I was at that. I got to admit, I was
funny.
getting tired of that. I was getting old.
I mean, I think even in the games he's like that. So
Okay.
I just thought it was hilarious.
He's had some dark triple past it. I don't know if it goes into spoiler territory there for the games, but like being Witcher goes in like intensive training and stuff. And
yeah, he's definitely the Batman of the medieval times. All right, let's get into our main topic for this evening. We wanted to talk about gaming throughout the generations, at least throughout our generations. And we have different age groups on tonight. You don't have to give your exact age, but if you want to kind of tell your approximate age, that'd be appreciative so that we can kind of have a feel for it. We have Skull on, which is the youngest of our crew, and How old are you, Skull?
Somewhere between the ages of 13 and 14.
Awesome.
No,
Okay.
14.
Somewhere between the ages of 13 and 14.7.
Yes, that works.
Question: do we need like parental consent?
Yeah, I always did that on my show. I was a little worried on my show when I had him on.
It's fine.
I mean, it's not like you're getting paid, so I guess not.
Yeah. If I was paid, that'd be a different story. But
exactly, they would want 95% of all proceeds.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we have Sin and me in the middle. Sin, I know your age, but I forgot it. What is it?
Well, it's going to be changing very soon. Come next month, I'm going to increment another number.
Holy cow.
Oh, yes.
Big deal.
I am currently 34.
Excellent. And I am 42. So I'm kind of like the younger of the Gen X. And then we have GATR. GATR, if you don't mind, approximately how old are you?
Gonna save the best for last, right?
I know. I feel bad asking.
I'm somewhere between 50 and 51.
Excellent. I love these somewhere between.
And I am the one of the older Gen X. Gen X.
I know everyone. Okay, I know everyone loves to joke about me and GATR being boomers. I mean, I get into my Discord too. Sharks calls me a boomer.
Is he the one that started all that?
Probably.
I was in the Discord and I was like, what is all this
It's all
boomer
good fun,
talk?
though.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. It doesn't
The
bother
funny
me.
thing is, if people actually knew, us Gen Xers actually were like I think like the first of the, I mean, before us, like the boomers and the great generation and everything like that kind of just, I felt like went with the flow and they didn't really like question the generations before them. But I really feel like the Gen X were kind of like the first to start questioning their parents. And then, of course it went down from there. So I don't know what you think, GATR, but that's kind of how I felt about it.
Yeah, we were kind of the in-betweeners. I mean,
we were known as the slackers. Remember, they called us like the slacker generation.
Yeah. The boomers, were World War II into I'm sorry, not World War II, but Vietnam. My dad was in Vietnam. He was in the Air Force, and he was all about putting your head down, working hard, good, honest day's work. And I mean, that pretty much translated to what I did. I learned from my dad to put my head down and just work, and that's how I started my business 25 years ago. So, yeah. I mean, I was never one of those kids that was, wore all black in school and all that. I was more of the geeky band guy. I had all my band friends, and I what's funny is I was like a dual. I had a dual role when I was in high school. I actually played football and I loved baseball. Played a lot of baseball, even up into college. But I was at the same time I was in band, and I remember I couldn't march because I was playing football. And I remember my coach and my band director were both at odds at each other. They were so pissed that I couldn't march. And he was so, how coaches are like, band, give me a break, the band. So that was kind of my environment back in the day in high school. So
yeah. And then with mine being a younger Gen X, almost to the millennial, I was definitely in this period growing up where I saw like not like there was no technology, but you know what I mean? Like before internet and cell phones, I saw kind of like the no technology life growing up. And then I merged into the technology life kind of in my high school, early college years. So I kind of had it both ways. And it was easy for me to pick it up because I was A, interested in technology, and B, because I wasn't so old yet. Older people can pick it up perfectly fine, but sometimes they don't want to is the issue. And when you're younger, you grow up with it, you're just forced to, you just learn it, but yeah. I was kind of in that period. And then we have, go ahead, GATR.
No, I was just going to add to that. I embraced tech as well, but it was low tech. There was no tech when we were probably middle school and before. And I remember my first computer class was using the Radio Shack TRS-80. We were learning how to just do simple things like make a sound. You put a command in to make a beep noise. That's how basic it was.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because there was computers, but it wasn't anything like we didn't know what the world would turn into once the internet and once cellular technology took off. That's what really changed the world, in my opinion.
Yeah, computers were a novelty. They were they were a luxury. They were something it was just like a toy back then. Really didn't do much, but simple little things just to entertain you.
Or like math calculations for banks, or you know, stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we don't need to bore the people too much on our history, but and then we have Sin, the slacker millennial generation, so we can just skip him. And then we, but
that's my wife. Typical boomer response.
Oh, yep.
Oh my gosh.
Now, my wife is the same age, and it's funny because she says she almost associates more with Gen X because she's the youngest in her family. She had a bunch of older brothers. And so even though she's your age, Sin, she's kind of like, I don't really consider myself millennial. And of course, millennial can kind of go down to, I don't know, about age 20 these days, I think, ish. 22, 25 is what millennial goes down to. Something like that.
Yeah, I was looking and trying to figure this out while you all were talking because I couldn't remember the age brackets. But yeah, basically 20 to 33, 20 to 35.
Oh, is it down to 20? Okay, I thought it was like
1995. So maybe 24. 24, 25.
Yeah. Yeah, they kind of do it by years because obviously it's not like as you get older, you go into a different generation. You keep your generation name. So, and then
unfortunately,
yeah. And then, and generation names can change too. But so far, I believe they're calling Skull's generation Generation Z. Does that sound correct?
Yeah.
The zombie generation?
I mean, sure.
Spoken like a true Gen Z.
It sounded good.
I mean, I'm not glued to my phone so much as other people, but that's not a completely empty, not threat, but insult.
You know, yeah, and I never try to look at the jokes or the jabs that people have. I don't assume things. Some pluses that I've heard of the younger generation, and I see this with my daughter that's your age, is I kind of, maybe the older Gen Z or the younger millennials, it probably is more, that would be more like the glued to your phone type. But like, I feel like sometimes the Gen Z right now is getting an air of super responsibility and saving, as opposed to the millennials that didn't save as much money. I don't know if you see that at all.
I mean, because we've seen the millennials, not saying that you weren't successful, Sin, but a lot of them crash and burn with horrible amounts of student debt. So I guess that's kind of scared a lot of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, the student loan problem is real. And if you ever do any listening for like some big names out there like Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V, he is absolutely against student loans and going to school for that, because you can basically learn all the stuff that you need to be successful now without having to pay for it.
Pretty much, yeah.
Ooh, now we're really getting in the weeds. But no, that is pretty much true. I mean, if you can be smart about it and not go into debt, that's always better. Well, I mean, I didn't need to go in the weeds too much, but these are fun discussions, and as they come up, we'll continue talking. But I kind of wanted to start with, I have a list of questions here, and this is just kind of a roundtable discussion. We'll kind of go back and forth, but we'll start with Skull this time, and tell us when did you start gaming, or remember anything about starting gaming?
It's been with me since I was born. Pretty much. My dad's a Zennial. He was born 1981. So he was a Zennial. And I'm trying to remember what the first game he played was, but yeah, he's carried that on, and he's been introduced it to me, and even my mom plays a game from time to time, so it's just been with me ever since I've been born.
Yeah. Do you remember when you started kind of like coming up with your own opinions of games that you liked? Like, I see you play different games that they play. I think you said they're not into Destiny or stuff like that.
My dad just doesn't have enough time for like the MMO RPG type stuff. My mom's more into like action adventure, like Spyro and Little Big Planet, that kind of stuff.
Oh, this is so fun talking about this because it sounds like your parents are like exactly my age pretty much. And then yeah, think about what my kids like to do. Cool. Sin, do you remember when you started gaming? About what age?
Oh boy, I was fairly young. I want to say probably when I was second, third grade. I think it was NES at that time. So probably
That's
7 or 8.
You started on Atari. Just kidding.
No, my brother did have an Atari, so maybe I do remember playing that. And then it was NES after that. It wasn't Atari for long. And we were talking about like these old computers and how they weren't really what they are today. I also remember having a Commodore 64.
So that was still working because I mean, I felt like these were even aging out when I was starting to play, but you still had one that was working?
Yes.
Wow.
I don't remember exactly what it did, other than it had 5.5-inch floppy disks that you had to stick in it. And it didn't do much. It did something, but it wasn't a lot.
It said, "Hello, world." And that was it.
Now you can code that in about 10.5 seconds.
Yep. All right. So kind of your whole childhood, you gamed.
Yeah, I remember the biggest thing, always the biggest memory that I love talking about is always the GoldenEye times when you couch co-op, split screen, 4 players on there, GoldenEye, you're screen peeking and trying to kill the other person. That was always a good time.
Excellent. All right. And then for me, I also kind of remember my whole life doing some type of gaming. When I was really young, it was probably just either arcades, because not tons of people had systems, but I do remember my dad bringing in some systems when I was maybe as young as 6 or 8. He brought in ColecoVision, and then I started running into some friends that had Ataris and playing that, and then moving on to, I don't know how old, but what I considered my first system was NES, and I got it probably for Christmas or a birthday sometime shortly after it came out, and then just went through there. So I kind of started gaming at an early age also. Also, the joke about Zennials in my age group is we were the ones that are very well known for, I'm sure all age groups did this, but we're well known for the Oregon Trail generation playing that game when it first came out in school, right? On the Apple IIes or whatever.
I remember that. Did you have Spellevator?
That sounds familiar. What was that?
It was like a typing game, and you had like computer class. You'd go in, and it was a typing game. They also had Oregon Trail, but Spellevator is you like to type, and I don't know, it was like spelling elevator game. I don't really know how else to describe it because that was it.
Did the letters go up and down or something?
I honestly don't remember. I just remember the name.
I'll say yes.
I am old and burnt out, so you got to forgive me.
You're the burnt out one, huh?
Yeah, and it's not from drugs; it's from working too much.
Excellent. All right, Gator, what do you remember your age from when you started gaming?
There were no gaming systems when I was a kid. There were no home entertainment systems when I was a kid. When I was 11 years old, that's when the advent of the arcades came about. That's when developers were making games strictly for arcade machines to make money. And it wasn't until 1981 that I got my very first system that I asked for Christmas, because I know you don't do this, Skull, but we used to watch Sunday or Saturday morning cartoons, and there would be advertisements about the new Atari system coming out and showed all these cool games and stuff happening. So that would put me at the first time gaming at home at age 13. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing I feel it's kind of too bad about us is like we don't have like a weekly ritual that we do. Like we don't like wake up early in the morning to like watch cartoons or something. We just have them on demand.
Pop-Tarts and bowl of cereal.
The difference is, Skull, you can watch everything and anything on demand now. We didn't have DVRs back then. If we didn't get our butts in front of that TV at 8 a.m., Scooby-Doo was just going away.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing.
Yeah, so it's nice to be young now.
That's why I loved DVRs when they first came out.
Oh,
did you have that?
What was that first? TiVo. Yes, I used to have
one.
one.
TiVos, yeah.
They were like $500. Crazy prices for those things.
Oh. I was like, come on. In our world and technology, can't we find a way where we don't have to be like a show we want to watch? We actually have to be there when it airs. I mean, just let us. I mean, you could record on videotapes way back in the day, but that was such a pain. I wanted a digital way to record, on hard drives. So, how has it changed since then?
Yeah, think of how much I've seen over the last 25 to 30 years.
There's a funny video everyone should look up on the Ellen show about her having like a younger millennial or Generation Z person try to look up a number in an old school phone book and then use a rotary phone. And the person just didn't know what to do all along the whole chain.
Isn't it you have to like, you start at 0 and then you move it up to the number and then you let it go. That's how you have to do it, right?
But the funniest, a lot of people can figure that out. But the funniest thing, though, that she did was she kept the, what do you call it, the headset or the earpiece, what you talk into. Mm-hmm. She kept it on the thing the whole time she was dialing. You got to pick it up first.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, and if you wanted to call somebody, you had to use a phone book. The best door stop around.
So yeah, I think that's the thing the older generations get onto us for is like those idiots who aren't mindful of older technology. Those are the people they pick out and like say, "Oh, every one of you is like this." So,
it's just fun picking on the select few instead.
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes both ways. But continue.
Oh, good times, good times. All right, next question I have. I'll start with GATR this time. Did you ever take an extended break from gaming and why?
Yeah, I had to think about this one. I've gamed all my life. I went from Atari to ColecoVision and Television. Then I went over to the Nintendo, then the Super Nintendo, and then I jumped to. I skipped the Cube and all that stuff. I went straight to PlayStation 1, and that was it. That was the end of it. PlayStation 1, 2, 3, 4. My son started on Xbox, but I think I just put myself on a tangent, just reminiscing here. But yeah, when I first had kids, I think I had to take a break because, my God, parents, I feel for you. When you get in 2 hours of sleep a night because your newborn decides, they want to get up at 2 a.m. when you just went to bed at midnight. It's really hard. I mean, I had to help my wife. I mean, when we had one kid, it was tough. But when we had a second kid, game on. There was there wasn't much time at all to do gaming. So I would say there was probably even though I got PlayStation 1, 2 at that time in my life, I didn't play them like I do play games now. So yeah, that would probably be the time I did take a break, and maybe a little bit of a break when I played baseball in late high school into college. I was so busy with baseball. I probably took a good one year break there. But other than that, I've gamed almost all through my life.
Yeah. I'm pretty much similar too. I feel like the last couple of years of high school, I wasn't opposed to gaming, but there was just so many things going on that I just didn't do it too much. It's kind of like my generation growing up. It's like, ooh, why would you want to play Nintendo with the kiddies in junior high? You know what I mean? Kind of like we were in high school and that was too good for us now. And there wasn't like phone games or anything like that back then. So I seem to remember taking a break then. And then definitely I concur. A lot of people, when they start a family, have their first kids, which for me was mid 2000s to about 2012-ish, somewhere right around there. I probably gamed a little bit here and there, but I really feel like I didn't game much at all kind of in that 5 to 7 year period. And then as my kids got a little bit older, it was easier to start slowly picking that up again. And then about 5 years ago was really when it super picked back up again, a couple years before I first got Destiny. And then, of course, from Destiny on also. What about you, Sin?
So really after high school is when my extended break happened. I always had a console, and I did a little bit in PC gaming, and I had spurts, I would say. I think right around when my first kiddo was born, I was playing Skyrim pretty healthily on PS3 at the time. And PS3 was really my first jump back into console gaming for quite some time, years rather. I never had a PS1, Xbox, PS2, anything like that. I kind of got away from the console gaming aspect. But PS3 I got and jumped into that. I played some Diablo 3 on PC or on my laptop because my laptop could run it. And then it's really been over the past 2 years. How long have I been playing Destiny now? 3 years. I got a little bit more heavy into gaming as a kind of as my pastime or recreational drug of choice.
Yes.
So yeah, I probably took, I don't know, however long that was, 5-ish years that I wasn't heavily gaming.
Okay. And then Skull, it might be a different answer for you, but has there been any even like months at a time where you haven't gamed?
Months at a time where I haven't gamed? I don't think there has been.
Especially with phone games, if we are counting that, right? I mean, it's hard for people to give that answer with games everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I have phone games, but like if you count Solitaire as a phone game, not really.
True. Yeah. But let's say consoles then. So have
Consoles.
you taken months at a time off or not really?
No, maybe a week, but yeah, never months.
It's all good. And kind of like, yeah, I was thinking the phone game thing too. Maybe if when I was those late 2000s, if phone games were more popular, then I might have done that more. I think they were just kind of getting started, but it wasn't really as big yet. So that makes it easier these days to, even when you have the youngins, you can kind of like just hop on your phone for a little bit, your iPad, whatever, and play some games.
That was the great thing about when I mentioned I took my break when my babies were just starting out. Once they got to about 4, then they wanted to play with you. There were pictures of me with my son in my recliner in my lap with a controller in his hand. So it picked back
actually,
up.
that reminds me. My mom would be playing a game, and I'd come over in her lap and be like, "No, this is the way to play." So.
Oh, that's awesome. I know. I got to find some pictures of my kids too. I seem to remember, my daughter, who's the oldest, and she's your age, School, but I seem to remember, her sitting in my lap and kind of holding on to the second controller and just pretending to push buttons while I was pushing buttons, and just kind of
that's cute.
Having fun doing that. I don't know what age she caught on, and this isn't fun anymore unless I actually play the game. But when you're a bit younger, it's easy to do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Skull, I mean, I think we know the answer for this, but do you think it's normally accepted for your age to play games? Socially accepted?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, it's an escape for most of us now because for a lot of us, real life is just kind of depressing, so we just do that to get away from it or be with friends or whatever.
Man, that's deep. I feel responsible somehow, but I'm not a boomer, so I'm not totally responsible. Oh man, I mean, it's true. I think for all of us, and we can get into that a little bit. But what about you, Sin? Do you think it's socially acceptable for your age group to play video games?
I would like to say yes, but as a lot of people, unfortunately, I'm kind of in that bracket where everybody I know now has jobs, their families, and responsibilities. I think I personally know a lot of people, even in I would say immediate social circle, that still play, probably not as much as me. So I would like to say yes, but I think it's not as prevalent as I once would have imagined.
And for you guys, Gator and Kingsley, I'm going to guess it was, because it's like, oh man, that guy's got the NES or whatever. Because I remember my dad like telling me something like that, but that might have just been him.
Yeah. So just to answer the question, definitely when I was young, it was a thing and socially acceptable. But then I feel like, and Gator might feel the same way, but as I got older, it became less and less socially acceptable because we were still expected to age out of that. That was just only a kid thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And even today, where it's more socially acceptable, still people from my age, there's this stigma like it's okay to play games on your phone, but you play an MMO on a console, you're just wasting time.
Hallelujah.
Yet the same, I know, right? And I'll let you talk about this, Gator, but then the same people that are our age will binge TV shows for hours and hours and hours, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, at least I'm thinking about doing stuff and builds and actively like trying to pay attention.
At least I'm thinking.
Well, at least I'm just not. At least it's a little more interactive than yeah. I'm not like doing calculus, but like at least it's a little more interactive than just drilling in front of a TV. So,
yeah,
I mean, you could do the thing where I have 3 monitors and I multitask the crap out of all of them. But you could always go to 6. You could have a TV up on one screen, PC up on another, PS4 on another, a book on another. I mean, you could really absorb some content.
So you multitask way too much.
I do. I mean, I'm putzing around in the game right now, not going to lie. Just like doing piddly stuff that I don't have to pay attention to, just so I don't have to lose focus on what's going on in the podcast.
Speaking of, does anyone want to farm your Rat King Catalyst out?
I mean, I think I have mine. Or do I? Maybe I don't. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, I'd be down.
No, that's what's
I don't have it. I don't have it.
What's the exotic grenade launcher?
Fighting
Line. No, fighting line.
Mm-hmm.
That one. That's the catalyst that I've been working on.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Me too.
I need to be the Whisper on my Hunter so I can get the heroic version.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Gator, you were agreeing with what I was saying. What else do you want to add to that?
I am one rare bird, let me tell you. I have a handful of friends that are, I'm not going to call them out, but they're close to my age. And we actually used to have a website called Adult Gaming Alliance, the AGA, where we probably had upwards of 500 guys our age, or varying ages from probably the mid-30s up. We had some guys from England and here in the U.S. that were much older than us, like 10 years older than us. And it was awesome. We all got together and played, and it was a lot of fun. But I will not even post anything from any gaming at all on Facebook because all my high school friends would just laugh at me. It is not considered cool to be a gamer at my age. And I try to buck that every day. And I try to tell myself, hell with them. This is what I like to do. And going back to your hallelujah moment, my wife, she's 5 years younger than me. So she is considered, she's really in the heart of Gen X territory. And she will, at first, she understands it a little bit more now, but she used to roll her eyes when I did a raid. But then she would go right back to reading a book for 5 hours. So we'd have this argument a lot. We go, hey, listen, I play games when I get home from work to wind down, not think about, the job I got to do tomorrow or I'm fired. All the weight of the world that gets on you when you have to make a living. Gaming was my outlet. It was my way to escape. Mm-hmm. And my wife would come in and roll her eyes and say, were you doing this again? I'm like, well, wait a minute now. What do you do to wind down after work when you come home from work and teaching? And she used to be a 911 operator too. I said, what did you do to de-stress? She came home and she read. And now she's a big time. This is why I was calling Hallelujah. She's a big time Bejeweled player on the phone. And we'll be watching a show, quote, together. I'll be paying attention to the show, no phone in my hand. And she will be next to me playing Bejeweled while she's watching the show.
Oh, that's my wife too.
So come on. What are we talking about here? You know?
That is great.
So when I'm sorry, I didn't mean to blurt over
this next Bejeweled thing.
I didn't mean to blurt over you, Kingsley, but God, were you preaching to the choir, man?
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
So my mom is a big Bejeweled player.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah.
Well,
I don't get it, but I've played it a couple times, but not to that level.
and I played Tetris, and I grew up with those games. I love those puzzle games, but she's really good at it. And I'll admit, those puzzle games like that are really good brain food. They really do expand your brain, and I think they make you sharper. But I'd rather be sharper with my hand-eye coordination coming from sports than I would brain power as far as puzzle games. She's a teacher, so she's more into puzzles and word games, and I'm more into actual shooting or something that I have to react to or follow a dot on a screen and being able to pull the trigger in time to be accurate enough to hit something. So I tell a lot of my friends this. I said, you know what? We're going to be the first official senior citizen gaming community. Think about it. I mean, there's some senior citizens, they make fun of them on YouTube all the time. These 65-year-olds and 80-year-olds playing video games. And there's a streamer out there that actually is 80 years old that plays Fortnite. He plays all these games, and he's not half bad.
That reminds me. Skyrim Grandma. You remember her? Or
no,
I've heard of her?
This is a man, and I'm God, I haven't seen him in a while, but he streams on Twitch. He's now a full partner. He has at least 300 or 400 people at a time watching him on Twitch, and he's an ex-military guy from the Navy, and he has the big anchor tattoos and all that on his arms, but he's just this old guy who still loves shooting games because that's what he used to do in real life. And he has a little dog cam where his little dog, people can watch his little dog too while he's playing. And I think it's the coolest thing. And what amazes me is the young people that flock to him and love. It's like he's like their virtual grandpa. And I think it's called Grandpa Gaming. I think Grandpa Gaming.
I'll look it up on Twitch after we're done here.
Grandpa Gamer or Grandpa something. He's on Twitch. So, yeah.
Yeah, that reminds me of the grandma who plays Skyrim. She's like 83, and like her YouTube channel consists of her reading all of the Skyrim books.
They're out there, but they're considered more like a freak thing, Like people are like, oh my God, look at this 80-year-old playing a video game. Age is just a number, guys. It has nothing to do with how your imagination goes and how much fun you have or how enveloped you get into a raid. It's all just a number, guys. People ask me, what do you feel like now that you're 50? I'm like, the same I felt when I was 30. Honestly, I feel exactly the same as I was 30 years old.
Well, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is my way of keeping sharp. So I think
it does help. Yeah. And I'll go into that a little bit later too. Sure. And you kind of answered kind of my next question of, has your gaming ever been shunned by those close to you? And it sounded like you kind of said that with your wife. She was kind of like, you're playing
I'll go ahead and answer this because I was watching a movie with my folks tonight, and they're definitely boomers. My dad is 75 and my mom is 73. And I was trying to get them signed up on an app on their phone, and it was like I wanted to just grab the phone out of their hands and say, let me do this, please. I cannot watch you do this. You're too slow. You're killing me here. So I kind of understand, but my parents, my brother, my sister, my grandparents, all the people around me, hardly any of them game. And you know who I relate to at Christmas time? The grandchildren, because they all game. They all play Fortnite. Some of them even play Destiny. That's the only ones I can relate to. And I'm like their superhero because I'm the
Grandpa
guy.
GATR.
Yeah, it's like
games.
Like a great Uncle Gamer. Great Uncle GATR. So it's nobody in my family games. And this is kind of Easy's story. Easy, who used to be a host on our show, he would talk about how this was the only place he could come to and talk to people, because nobody in his work, nobody in his family gamed at all. So yeah, to answer your question, yeah, I'm very much belittled because I game. I get the eye roll or the oh boy, or the it's taken for granted that what you're doing is actually very good for your brain, very good for unwinding after work and settling and meeting friends. So
yeah, and for me, my wife's pretty accepting. She does a little bit of gaming, not anywhere near what I do. She's been on Destiny some, and she's been on our show even. So luckily, nothing too much. But every once in a while, she helps, keep me in check to make sure we're just still going on date nights together and doing stuff together, because that's the type of shunning that I should get to make sure I'm not like going too much. It's like, again, it's not so much because it's gaming per se, but like, yeah, if I was out fishing for like 12 hours every day, like 5 days in a row, then hopefully I'd be getting a little bit shunned for that too, and say, okay, let's just take it back a little bit and do some couple things together. And then I do a few things together, and then we all feel good and we can kind of go our separate ways again.
Can I mention something real quick? I'm
yeah,
sorry.
Of course.
I don't mean to jump.
No, this is great. I love it's going back and forth.
You talked about doing things together. That's the one thing I will say to everybody out there. And when it comes to gaming, is you got to have balance, especially if you're married or you have a relationship. I'll admit I was fully hooked and addicted in my early years of marriage. Not my early years, but my middle years, when my kids were growing up. And there were times when I was way too into the weeds when it came to Destiny or Call of Duty. And I was definitely unbalanced. It's very, very important to make time and have a structured week with your family and with your significant other. Definitely that. And we go, like I've talked about on my show, we go to movies twice a week. That's our thing. That's the thing we do. So sorry, I wanted to jump in there and mention that.
I agree. Yeah. And I feel it's good to get out of the house and do something. Mm-hmm. That's why I kind of use the word date. It doesn't have to be like some official big date or whatever, but when me and my wife want to do something together, it's not really even meaningful to just watch TV together, because that's kind of like, whatever. Because like you said, one might be on their phone anyways or something,
You got to be out there looking face to face at a restaurant. That's what I mean by a date night.
Yeah. Anything you want to add, Sin?
As soon as I can find the unmute button on myself.
He is kicked off the podcast. No. We gotta go.
No, I'm leaning back, like my eyes hurt from being awake for so long. And,
I'm sorry.
No problem. No, I'm just leaning back. But yeah, I would agree. My wife and I have failed at this. We don't spend a lot of time away from the kids, especially when I'm off. And I've been working so much, and I am usually up before the kids get up. And this week she's been off because she's been a teacher. So I'm up and gone before she even gets up and the kids get up. And then when I come home, they're already in bed. Now, this week, because she doesn't have to get up early, she's been up a few times. But yeah, I've just been so late. And this week I've been sick. I haven't felt much like doing anything. But yeah, I mean, it is important. You need to, I love my kids, but definitely need to have some time away from them and just have some time out away from the house, so doing other things. I tried to, I mentioned earlier, content. I try to absorb other content as well outside of gaming, whether it's movies or TV shows. And, you mentioned that, if we're watching TV, one of us might be on our phone or both of us. But, we find that still it's nice because we're still, sitting together, spending time together, even though we may not necessarily both be watching the show at the same time, or might be playing on our phones in between something. But typically we're engaged in the show regardless, even if we check our phones, and it's time that we get to spend together.
Hey, yeah, whatever works. It's about communicating too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then Skull, I guess I could say, have you ever had limits put on your gaming from your parents?
Yeah, that's what I'm most well known for. I think it was mainly my mom. I don't know if my dad really minded, but they had a thing where it instantly logged me out, so I'd not play for hours on end, which I don't generally do unless I'm doing a raid. But like even then, I'm kind of like, ugh, I played so much, I want to get off. So yeah, that's really been the only time I've have had like shunning, I guess.
Yeah. It's hard to know what to do for me being a parent with having kids that age. It's like, I want to be pretty flexible. It's better to, I feel, be that way and give good communication guidelines of what we think is good, but not too many actual restrictions. And luckily, my son who lives with me, I feel like he doesn't actually game that much. Also, he's kind of like more just, of course, on YouTube and stuff like that, which is fine. But I just don't know where to draw the line. And that could be a whole other discussion for another day. But yeah, it's got to be interesting.
I know, because like, I think, because like my mom's work is, her brothers have had like issues with just gaming for hours on end. But like for me, like if I do it for like more than 2 hours, I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm done. So
yeah, you kind of self-police yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's just what they're trying to teach me. But I think the issue with it instantly logging me out is like if I'm in the middle of doing something, I'm like, well, come on.
That's annoying. Yeah.
Yeah. So now it just beeps at me and it's like, turn it off.
Yeah.
But I've gotten used to it. So
yeah, cool. Okay, a couple more questions, guys. We're having a discussion. Everybody knows it's going a little bit long. And it's probably more positive for you, Skull, but anything about your age that you think is positive or negative for gaming? So like, being younger, you think you can better reflexes is just an example, or whatever you want to add, any positive or negatives for your age?
I want to say more time, but in these recent years, school has become more demanding. Not like me from moving up to like middle school to high school, but it's just become more demanding because society over the years. So I think it's like harder that way because we have more homework, more stuff like that. So it's less time to play. So I feel like for you, GATR, since you run yourself, you have as much time as you need. But I have like my breaks and the time I have after I get out of school. So
yeah. And then like, but do you also feel like your age is like it makes it easy to pick up games and learn them?
Maybe, I don't know, because I've been doing Fallen Order and I've gotten frustrated with it because I feel like I should be good at it, but I move it up to the Jedi Knight difficulty and I can barely take down one enemy without nearly dying. So maybe I'm just not good at the melee combat games, but I feel it's just not as fine-tuned as a Dark Souls would be. So that's just me, though.
Right on. Sin, anything your mid-30s is a plus or minus for your gaming, just ability-wise, age-wise?
I wouldn't say there's any positive or negatives. I don't think my reflexes are all that good. I would say I'm average at best. But, I think just the fact with my age bracket and anybody in this age bracket is really the ability to really play whatever I want. I don't have to worry about somebody else getting me a game. I don't have to worry about somebody else saying whether I can or can't get a game. If I want it, as Ariana Grande says in Seven Rings, I want it, I got it. So, I mean, that's really, to me, the only positive. And just, I guess, experience after playing games for so long, I think you might play some experience in there, but I don't think it's much, honestly.
Yeah. One thing that I've always appreciated with playing with Skull is what we would say the impression. I know it's not everyone your age, Skull, but us older players would get the impression that the younger players we use the derogatory, we'll say the squeakers or anything like that, but like tend to be a little hot-headed or like show-offy or whatever. And you've always had a great attitude playing with us. I always appreciate that.
Yeah, I try my best to do that. So
Yeah.
He's a boomer trapped in a Z's body.
I was just gonna say.
I mean,
you're like, I wouldn't go that far, but
no, I'm telling you, Skull. We first had him on the show, our one of our earlier episodes. I was amazed at his age. I wouldn't even guessed he was that young, because he conducts himself so well in raids. Yeah, so yeah, he might be a boomer trapped in a Gen Z.
Excellent.
Yeah, maybe it's a little is my taste, I think.
Yeah, very eclectic taste.
You're eclectic and well-rounded.
Yeah,
I
that's
would
a
say you're a
reflection on your
fine
parents.
bottle of rum.
Yeah, that's a
All right.
reflection on your parents, by the way. That's a good thing.
Yes.
Cool. And then, for me, I never want to try to use it as an excuse, but I have been noticing a little bit finger dexterity, negative for my age, getting just a little, like 5% slower over the years. Kind of like, not like I have arthritis or anything, but things do happen when you get older, where your fingers get a little less nimble, a little less flexible, quick doing things. So I kind of joke that's why I got my Astro controller with the bumpers on the back, because I think it's good for any age to have better controllers, but it's kind of nice to have those extra things. And sometimes I remember a little bit less these days, maybe just because I hold it different, but like a year ago I started noticing like even a few of my knuckles getting kind of sore after playing long sessions in Destiny. And then another thing where I really noticed, there is something about your dexterity going down when you get older is I started playing the old original Mario Brothers 1, 2, and 3 games, because I have that on the Nintendo Switch subscription. And I could pump through those games like almost like speed runs and without dying and everything when I was a kid. And I felt like going into it now, my brain still knew what to do, but my hands couldn't move fast enough to do it.
Yeah.
So something's happening there, but I do feel like at the same aspect, the positives are like what Sin says, like I want a game, I just get it. I'm at a point in my life where I'm okay dropping down $30 here, $30 there without having to like hem and haw about it. I'm not going to be spending hundreds of dollars all the time, but it is nice to kind of just do that. And then, also age is a pro too, as far as like having a level-headed discussion with others, even people in any age group, 30s, 40s, whatever, higher. The hotheads might come into a raid or PvP or something and start causing a fuss or whatever, and I either just try to ignore it or try to be a peacemaker or try to just talk about something else. And I feel like that's a little bit my personality anyways, but also I think having that age kind of definitely adds experience of like just knowing when to like ignore them or move on or just talk about something else.
Again, back to the Swigger thing, I think I was lucky because my voice deepened up a lot these past few months. So I'm
Nice.
like, I can pass myself off as a lot older than I seem. So that's just a quick note.
That helps. GATR, what do you think?
Let me be the beacon of hope for you guys, because I'm looking back in my gaming history, and I was a big Call of Duty guy. I mean, I've played Call of Duty for 10 or 12 years, and I'm looking at my current situation in gaming, and I'll tell you why this is the fact, but I'm playing the best Crucible of my life. I've improved tenfold from when I first played Call of Duty. When my son first told me to play Modern Warfare, and I literally stood in the middle of the map and couldn't even get my gun to aim in the right direction. I was looking up in the air, looking at my feet. I couldn't get that equal balance, and I would just get murdered.
Ooh, I can only imagine how your son felt.
And he was like, "Dad, have patience. You can do this. You can do this." I think I had like a 0.3 KD that first year of Call of Duty. And then I slowly started getting better. Muscle memory, started learning things, how to put things together. But here's I think where you guys will benefit. And Kingsley, you mentioned that your reflexes were going down. I'm telling you, reflexes is a product of building that muscle. And the one thing I have now that my kids are grown up, and in college, is I have a lot of extra time now. I'm not raising kids like a lot of you guys are. So what I've done, and granted, I'm running my own business, so I mean, I have flexibility in my hours, but generally I have more time to game than probably a lot of you guys do. And the reason, I think that is the main reason why I've gotten better over the years, is because I've been able to, like, let's take Destiny, for instance. I moved from Call of Duty into Destiny. And the first year, I refused to play Crucible because I was like, nope, I had my fill of PvP. I want to get in these worlds. And it's too bad because I missed a lot of cool stuff. Iron Banner coming out in year one and all that. I missed a lot of cool weapons. And the one thing I remember, I had to get the Thorn, and I had to play Crucible to get those void kills. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And I was forced to play it, and I was cussing the whole time. I did not want to be here playing this. And how dare Destiny make me play Crucible to get this stupid gun, which was really good, by the way. But because of that one mission, that one thing I had to do in Crucible, I hungered for Crucible after that. I could not wait to play Crucible. And what I did, instead of just randomly going in there and just shooting things, is I became a student of the game. I started absorbing PvP videos from Cool Guy, True Vanguard, Astacross, Fallout Plays. There's tons more. I have a whole channel in my YouTube directory called Daily Crucible Vids. It's all these videos that I've collected over the years that I can go back to and just get a little refresher. And because I've really studied the game, and that comes to more of my maturity, I guess, is I've learned to outsmart my opponent and then have enough gun skill to make up the difference. And I would say I'm probably just a little bit above average. I'm not a high level player in Crucible, but I'm just enough where I can do good for my team. And when it comes to raiding, I've learned to compartmentalize my role in the raid and knowing, okay, this is my section. This is what I got to do. I got to do it at this time. I'm able to compartmentalize that instead of my thoughts wandering or wondering what's going on or whatever, getting caught up. I've been able to focus on my goal and what I need to do in that raid so that the team, and I guess that's the key, I play more as a team player. And maybe that's the difference, but I'm playing the best Crucible, best PvP in my life. I went back to play the new Modern Warfare game. And because of all the things I learned, how to duck in and out of cover, how to pre-fire, how to pre-aim, a lot of different things that I learned from these YouTubers that are, face it, they're in their 20s, maybe 30s. I'm learning from them. I went back to my old alma mater, my old Call of Duty days, and I actually was able to hold on. I was able to hold my own for just playing the game, not knowing any of the maps. So let that be a little beacon of hope. Once your kids grow up and they start moving out and into college, you'll have more time to make it a hobby. And that's what I've done.
Yeah, I agree. I always try to have a fine line of, and I am better at Crucible these days than I've ever been. When I had to get my linear fusion kills for the latest pinnacle weapon, at first I was like, oh man, but then I just kind of like sat down and did it, and I got it. I mean, I think these were easier to get anyways than the Scout ones, maybe, but I got them done very quickly.
They made the
that was unheard of.
Yeah, the ritual weapons are definitely easier. I think Bungie heard our call and made it easier to get those.
Yeah, much, much easier.
But there certainly will also be times like, or even if someone has like a physical disability where their hand starts cramping up or something. So you're like,
absolutely.
And I that's kind of what I meant too. Like, I know my mom has arthritis, so I hope I don't start getting, issues with that.
My mom too.
Up, so,
but here's, I'll give you an example. This is how I've improved in Crucible. When people would run at me with a shotgun or machine gun, whatever, I used to just stand there and freeze and try to figure out how I could kill them. Now I learned to elude, how to evade, how to blink backwards. And I'm a Void Warlock, just like you, Kingsley. I'm a, if you look at my title on Steam, I have 2 Void, symbols next to my name because I'm a Void player. And you learn from these videos, you learn, you know what? You don't have to stand there and die. You can actually be very mobile and get away and get a better angle, get back and get back where you're at the advantage with their shotgun can't reach you anymore. Things like that. So that's where you can get better as you get older.
Yeah.
And not to mention your brain, eye-hand coordination, your twitch reflexes. If I didn't play video games, I'd be a total marshmallow. I'd be a total potato if I tried to play now.
Yeah, excellent. Well, that's most of the questions for the evening. I'm just ask one more time as we go around. Anything else that you wish people would recognize or realize about gaming, and any stigmas that you wish people didn't put upon us as gamers, or anything else you want to add to the discussion before we close up? Anyone can just go forward.
I'm trying to think here.
Well, I would say this. Skull has proven to me that not all squeakers are alike.
Very true.
And I used to call them all squeakers because they would be in a raid, they'd be frustrated and leave. Very rude, not appreciate the team, not tell anybody you're leaving to raid, you just leave in frustration. Done a lot of LFG groups like that, and Skull has proven to me that, you know what? You don't judge a book by its cover, you judge them by their character. And Skull is definitely very good when it comes to raids. Very patient and very good team player. So
yeah. That is true.
Thanks.
mm-hmm.
And then Sin, we just put up with because we have to.
Truth.
You there with us, Sin?
Truth.
Okay, I just had to get a reaction. Well, before you fall asleep, yeah.
I think he's deep into that bottle of rum there.
Yeah.
No, it was only about 2 shots worth, and it was Bumbu is a really good sipping rum. Thank you again, Dizzy. I know that I'm almost crushed my 3rd bottle. Not in one night, obviously, but over the course of the last few months. And Kingsley is going to be on that bandwagon soon, as we were talking about before the show.
Potentially. Yeah, you have to special order it, so I don't know. But might
it's
find a group to buy it in.
Yes. It's a yes.
Okay. I guess you're paying for it.
I mean, I need more, so...
Saying you're making yourself sound like a lush. I'm just kidding.
Hey,
considering his job,
it's not every night, and a little shot to sip on with a little ice, and have like a little soda or water.
We call it your sippy time, your nighttime juice, right?
Yeah, I don't know if I should be mixing it with the Robitussin Severe that I've been doing during the day, but
maybe not the best idea.
I mean, it was 6 hours before I had my last dose, so it's all right.
Send sippy cup.
Sippy cup. Warm it in the microwave.
We should make that merch.
Yeah, that'll be our shirts for our podcast.
Send sippy cups.
As Hazel would say, you are welcome.
Yes, thank you very much. Oh man, everyone, this has been a great discussion. We really appreciate having you on GATR, having you on Skull, and I don't know, the idea just kind of came to me, and I'm like, oh, I know some people that are slightly younger and slightly older and near my age and around my age, and I just kind of wanted to...
you had an epiphany.
Yeah, get everyone's opinion on this, and hopefully it was a good discussion, and everyone listening to this isn't too bored.
It was eye-opening.
Yep, eye-opening to say the least.
I'm just pissed off I didn't think of it first.
Oh.
What a great idea.
We'll sell the idea to you, and then you can syndicate it on too.
Sounds good.
Yeah. I mean, I need to... Kingsley's got his own business. GATR's got his own business. So I need my own business. So yeah, let's... I'll sell them. I'll sell the merch and sell previously used ideas.
The
cool.
usual rates,
I'll be moral support.
Yeah.
Yep, that works.
The usual rates, guys, as usual.
Yeah.
Yes, that
Excellent.
works. Yeah. Okay. Well, I wasn't sure if we want to keep our dessert question going, Sin. It might be fun to change it up to something else. Plus, did we already ask GATR? I believe we did when he came on.
Yeah, but
We
I have
did.
another one.
Okay. I'm going to open it up some. You don't have to do dessert, Skull, and I might narrow it down to something else. But for now, just do whatever you guys want. So go ahead, GATR.
My second favorite dessert, we go to Carrabba's, and there's some other restaurants that do this too, but there is an apple crisp that they cook in a frying pan, a little mini one, and they put a big dollop of ice cream on top of it, and then they put a drizzle of caramel, like a little moat, around the outside of the pan. Don't know what exactly they call it, some kind of apple crisp dessert, but man, is that so good. You got to try it. Next time you're in a restaurant, look for it.
Okay.
We had a Carrabba's, so I'll have to try that.
Yeah.
Skull, any type of food or dessert that comes to mind that you really like, you want to tell us about?
Ooh, cheesecake. I went to Cheesecake Factory the day after Christmas. That was so good.
Ooh, and what kind did you? I think was it Godiva? If I remember.
Yeah, it was the Godiva stuff.
Oh, that is a good one.
Good.
Yeah, they have so many to choose from. Of course.
I mean, it probably lowered my life expectancy, but it was worth it.
Oh, you're still young.
You'll be all right.
As long as you don't have that all the time, you'll be okay. Oh man, but those are good.
Yeah, it's to die for.
That sounds good. I need to get back to Cheesecake Factory. We have a couple around every once in a while. I just consider because you can go in and they have a little to-go order section on the side. You can pick them up and okay, I should bring some home for me and the wife. But it's been a while.
Yeah, because I got a mac and cheese burger.
Oh yeah, they have really good. Which I want to bring this up real quick. Have you had those like Brussels sprouts with like bacon and like a little bit of maple?
I have not.
It may sound weird, but this is becoming a very popular dish, especially for like Thanksgiving and Christmas meals. But just a lot of restaurants are doing it, and I know how to make it really good. And Brussels sprouts will taste good if they're chopped up with bacon and maple syrup in them. So
I mean, I like my bacon with maple syrup, so that isn't too bad.
Yeah. So they're good. Well, great. Good discussion. Great discussion about food, and we'll kind of wrap it up there. I
personally think that was the highlight, but that's just me.
That was the highlight, and we're going to have more. I mean, obviously, the main point of the podcast is just Destiny, but I've considered having every once in a while just more. We kind of did it at Christmas, like miscellaneous episodes of food or whatever. We could talk about other stuff. But we don't have any iTunes reviews this week, so we'll move on from there. As always, if anyone's listening to this podcast, we appreciate reviews because it helps us get found. So if you would like to leave a review in iTunes and rate us wherever you feel, and if you write any comments, we'll read it on the air. And be much
shameless plug. Sorry.
Yeah, it is a shameless plug, but
we do a lot of
do that in the podcast land.
Shamelessness.
Yeah. And if anyone listening has any recommendations for people that they want on the show, please let us know. You can also let us know by just our contact info, which we'll give in a minute, or joining our Discord. But before we go there, I would like to
run away.
Wait, I don't know that one. You usually know your thing, Sin. Say that again.
Away.
It's a song.
I know it now. I just didn't.
Depeche Mode.
I'm getting like a weird echo these last couple of minutes. So
yeah, something's happening.
You might have some fixing to do there, Sin, but no big deal.
That's fine. You probably only hear my headset because I'm not wearing the my normal blue because I've been muting a lot in between. So I normally wear the blue headset. That way you don't hear any of the audio bleed. These you hear them a little more audio bleed in.
All right, Skull, do you have any contact info you want to give the people?
I just recently joined Twitter at SkullReaper 2005. You can find me on PlayStation at SkullReaper 2005, all caps, and on Xbox at SkullReaper 343. I still curse the man who took 2005.
I bet, yeah.
It's just annoying not to have it the same across all platforms, but that's just me.
Yeah, you should create a Steam profile, even if you don't have plans on getting Destiny anytime soon, just so you'll have that name taken.
Yes, I need to do that.
All right, GATR, thanks again for coming on the show. Please go ahead and just do a quick plug for your podcast also.
Yeah, I just want to mention, thank you again for the invitation. I love conversation as you do. And this is a shameless plug time. Yes, you can contact me at Twitter at Todd the Gator. You can also find me on YouTube, Steam, and PS4 at Gator, GATR, underscores in between. We do have a podcast we release every week called Guardian Down Cast, and that is available on whatever podcast app or site you use. You can also reach us at guardiandowncast@gmail.com or on Twitter at guardian_D_cast. And we have an awesome Discord, which I believe Skull is a part of. Just look for Guardian Downcast. And finally, I do have a YouTube channel. It's GATR, underscores in between, just like my gamer tag. I'm at 88 subs. I'm trying to get to that 100. I need 12 people to just say, you know what? Why not? So, shameless plug. I need 12 subs to get to 100. That was my goal this year. So, thank you. Thank you again for having me on, guys.
No problem. You heard it here, folks. And I agree. Please listen and subscribe to their podcast. It's definitely one of our main friends of the show and the Destiny podcasts that I recommend everyone listen to. Right. Sin, where can the lovely people find you, good sir?
I have a real quick question for Skull.
Okay.
You're the Skull on Twitter that's sad boy most of the time. Is that you?
Yes. Spelled with an I.
Yes, followed. I now followed you.
Thank you.
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
It's fine.
Multi-screen, public event following Skull, and now I'm about to plug myself. You can find me on twitch.tv/SynMedia in the CYN. Typically streaming once per week, which is casual. It's maybe once a week. More like twice a month kind of deal. And on Twitter at Sin_media. Quick PSA. Life happens. And I used to do Destiny Digest once per week over with Danfinity, Green Eye Music Lover, and Arrow. Unfortunately, with life and trying to keep a daily podcast going, Dan decided to cut that out. So we will no longer be doing that. So I appreciate y'all for following us here at the Guardian Hub, where you will continue finding my beautiful voice once per week. Kingsley, lather yourself in some cheesecake. Take us out.
Yes, that was Sin, the ultimate multitasker, but I will take us out just doing this one thing of giving you my contact information.
Not going to lie, I think that was the most excited I've heard Sin all night.
It's always exciting.
He's always excited. Yeah, when the stuff.
I feel like it's some Jack Sparrow kind of saying, be like, I'm always happy at the end, or I'm always excited at the end.
Yeah, something like that. Or
something to that effect. It just seems more magical that way.
It does. And you can find me at synmedia.com. No, I don't know.
That is a thing. It's just not actually
page to be built.
Well, I
can make one of those.
I own the domain, but I need to find out where I can.
Awesome.
Yes, I do. Because
I also your email address. So
yes, I do have I have a @synmedia.com email address. One day when I decide to create my own portfolio website for my, as I like to call it, my online personality.
The day you take over all the Destiny podcasts in the world.
That'll be a no for me, dog. I barely have time for you, Kingsley.
But one day.
You just start one day. And you'll be the head of it and make all the money, and everyone else can do the work.
One day, Pinky. One day.
All right. Yeah, you can find me as Kingsley Mac on PlayStation. On Twitch, I stream occasionally if I'm raiding. On Twitter, though, I am MC Kingsley. And you can find our show at our website, theguardianhub.com. And on Twitter, you can find us under The Guardian Hub. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in this week. Happy New Year. And we will talk to you soon. Good night.
Peace. Bye, guys.
Later.
All right. Last thing, I sound good. Don't need to change anything.
Oh, yeah. You're
all right. Cool.
You're good.
Yeah, I'm gonna need you to change your entire voice right now.
Like this? Is this good, Sin?
We have our intro.
Oh, that was our intro. Okay.
And the clicking, if that's your sin, is getting louder too.
Oh, sorry, that's mine.
That one is
Oh,
not
that's
me.
yours. Okay.
That's Skull this time.
It's all good. See, we just love having a fun, casual time here. We're not going to worry about if it's edited perfectly or whatever. I appreciate Sin has a lot of work he has to go through doing. So whatever he edits or doesn't edit.
It won't be tonight. It'll be tomorrow. But I will get
you need to get this out within the next 20 minutes. Little do the people know whenever it comes out, they can just pretend we recorded it 20 minutes before that. So we're good.